Hey, Soulmates, we have plenty to discuss on this very special Good Friday edition of Fox Soul's Black Report. I'm Courtney Hicks, and we're bringing you the stories that impact our people, bringing you our news, our views, and our voice. So, topping our conversation today.
This is a picture of the original black firemen.
60 years ago, the first African-American men were hired by the Atlanta Fire Department.
That was more of a prestigious job, you know, and so I decided I'd try it for it.
Emmett Smith was one of the original 16. It was the peak of the civil rights movement. City leaders were under fire to hire African-American firefighters.
Our superiors didn't know exactly how we would perform under, actual fire conditions.
All were assigned to Fire Station 16. Smith knew it would be a trial by fire.
We had to meet with other firefighters, and some of the firefighters, that didn't necessarily want to fight fire with us, simply because we were black and they were white.
Smith says they also met with resistance from the public.
Black firefighters went in the white neighborhood, and they were a bit reluctant, to have the black firefighters there because they figured that they were not going to do the job.
Smith says over time, they proved themselves.
That was something I was proud of.
These guys here, the first 16 here, I can't say enough about them.
In 1977, the first women were hired by the department. All of them were black.
The original 7, the elite 7, I should say.
Liz Summers says some of the original 16 men were their instructors in recruit school.
If it hadn't been for them, we wouldn't have made it.
She says she was proud to be a firefighter, but often fought adversity.
By being vocal and fighting for others, it made my job very difficult.
She hung in there, and 10 years later, her son, Irving Reese, joined the department.
As the first mother and son team in the country at that time.
She was the first woman to join the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters and served as president of the local chapter. She worked her way up the ladder to the rank of battalion chief.
I want to leave a legacy. I want to say that, okay, I'd made it possible for so many other people.
Retired Fire Captain Michael McWhirter fought fires alongside many of the original 16, experiencing firsthand what they went through.
I was told by guys I worked with on my shift that blacks were not cut from the same mold as whites were to be professional firefighters.
He was president of a special interest group that looked out for the needs of African-American firefighters. They monitored hiring, promotions, and discipline, and fought for equality.
When it was dinner time, blacks were not permitted to eat out of the same utensils as whites.
He has watched how things have changed over the decades.
Things turned for the better over the years, and I'm proud of every one of them that stayed here, that endured.
Today, there is a plaque outside Station 16, honoring the 16 men and 7 women who blazed a trail for others.
It's like paving the way for somebody else. We went and we suffered the consequences that we had to in order to make way for somebody else.
It's been 60 years. Many black firefighters have been through the department since then, and a course made much smoother thanks to the brave and determined men and women who went first. In Atlanta, Denise Stillen, Fox 5 News.
Judge Joe Brown is not one to shy away from controversy, from Harriet Tubman being on the $20 bill to his most recent comments about women in leadership. He knows how to stir the pot, and he's here with us today to talk about why he's running for mayor of Memphis. So welcome to the show, Judge Joe Brown.
I'm here.
Yes, you are, Judge, and we're glad to have you here. So let's go back to this Harriet Tubman conversation, 2019, when there were talks about Harriet Tubman being on the $20 bill. One of your responses to the idea, quote, these are your words, if any single black person deserves the honor, it's Frederick Douglass, who's credited with starting the abolitionist movement, into that quote. So are you actually saying that there's something wrong with Harriet Tubman being on that $20 bill? Clear that up for us, Judge.
Okay, let me put this to you. by way of illustration, let's suppose Home and Garden has had a Homemaker of the Year award every year. And there's never been a black woman who's ever received an award, and it's always a female of some other race. So the first time they have somebody black on there, they put a black male instead of a black female. How would you feel about that? Next thing, consider that in this day and time, it's not the girls doing the drive-bys, it's the boys. Next thing, this same year, the National Harriet Tubman Association gave me the Man of the Year award, and also the local one in Memphis gave me the Man of the Year award. And the other thing was, guess what? The lady herself said in some of her later life musings that if any black person deserved recognition, it was her hero, Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass also happened to be a hero. Frederick Douglass also happened to be a hero of my family. My grandfather idolized him. Next thing, it wasn't black people's idea to come up with Harriet Tubman. About 18, 19 years ago, when I was walking around Paramount Studios, I worked for them. I heard some people that don't like men very well plotting on how they were going to get a woman on a bill first. They talked about various white women, and then one of them I heard had an idea, this was some weeks later, that they were going to get, let's pick a black woman, and further we can demoralize black men, which is something they need to have happen. Let's find somebody. They were doing a movie called Harriet. It was based on Harriet Tubman's life, but they were going to make it a white woman who was born in Boston and married a very racist Southern plantation owner, but she was supposed to be white. And they were talking about, forget the historical unrealism. It didn't make any difference because nobody would care.
Well,
Judge, not something that came up in a wholesome fashion.
Gotcha.
Well, so Judge, speaking of history, you're running to make a little history yourself. You're running for mayor of Memphis, and we know that the city's been in the headlines for the murder of Tyree Nichols, among other things. What do you make of the chief of police and her handling of the situation?
She should never have been hired.
She should not have been hired?
No.
Why not?
We had competent black women in command positions, 3 or 4 of whom I have been acquainted with for 30-some years, who should have been hired. They brought somebody in to be, get this, the first civil service chief in 41 years. Prior to that, we had civil appointees who were civilians subject to the whim and control of the mayor's office, so there was political control over the police department. This incompetent mayor we have in right now, named Jim Strickland, who has done nothing but waste time in the office, and he's term limited now, brought her in after she was demoted, fired, reinstated under civil service hearing provisions, left, went to Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, was under investigation again, and was hired out of there. Now, without getting into the gory details, what she was alleged to have done wrong was to have hidden somebody's, who, to make a long story short, wound up getting 10-year federal sentences for some hideous crimes. So let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
We will deal with it, because you see what's likely to happen is I'm most likely to become the next mayor, so it's going to be falling in my lap. And I've always maintained a lifetime policy of being fair and impartial, neutral and detached when it comes to resolving matters, even if they don't match my taste. That's why I wound up finding out, for example, James Earl Ray didn't shoot Dr. Martin Luther King, but the FBI was behind it, and they supplied the murder weapon and ammunition, and it was a 2-man hit team from the fire station, not the flop house or the bushes below that flop house bathroom window. So you have to be fair and objective.
Sure. Now, with you being on your way to Memphis as the mayor, as you are already claiming, what are your thoughts on the officers?
I'm already here. Been here 50 years. I transport from Los Angeles.
On your way to the mayor's seat, how about that? What are your thoughts on the officers involved in the Tyree Nichols case? And I'm assuming you agree with the decision to disband that Scorpion unit that was involved?
I don't disagree with that. I do not agree with that decision. See, the Scorpion unit started off 3 years ago as Blue Crush, following citizen demands that something be done to cut down the rampant crime. I actually am personally acquainted with the commander of the former Blue Crush unit, who resigned in frustration for lack of command backup. I am acquainted with somebody very close to the last commander of the Scorpion unit, which was the renamed Blue Crush unit, who retired in just abject frustration again because there was no command authority backup. Now, that said, we have a total breakdown in command and communications oversight and an ineptitude when it comes to the upper level management. Now, this lady that they brought in, I don't see why they did it. There's nothing to recommend it. We have some fine young women here. Well, not young women, but fine women here who could have stood in. I am personally acquainted with several, as I have said. Well, now, next thing, what we have here is, remember, this is likely to fall in my lap to resolve when it ultimately gets there.
Judge, in our remaining moments with you, I've got to ask you this question. You recently caught some backlash for comments that you made about women in leadership at a mayoral candidates forum. This is according to Fox 13. What's your response when folks say that you have a problem with women in power?
I don't have that's bull. That's bull. Now let me put this: what's going on is a setup. They have an organization called the Young Democrats of Shelby County. All right, 23 of them showed up to a nightclub that was in session doing nightclub stuff. There were about 150 people who wound up coming down there, and there were 23 of these who signed in. When I made my remarks, I got applause, high fives. About 15, 20 women volunteered to sign up for the campaign. But the 23 who were down there with an objective that did not include me actually being there, because they didn't give me notice. Somebody on my committee said you need to show up. And what I said was actually a quote from a 19-year-old black female college student. And I just quoted her under the circumstances. And what's going on is Memphis is a dangerous place. Just this last weekend, we had 14 shootings or stabbings. And yesterday we had 4 more and quite a few fatalities. Now, this family of Nichols, they're only one of it. At the moment, since I talked to one of your producers this morning, I went back and looked, and now it is 663 families who lost loved ones in the last 24 and a half months. That includes my personal friend who is helping me on the campaign. That includes somebody who does the electrical work around my house. He just lost his son last weekend. That includes 2 former co-workers who've lost sons or grandsons. There are too many people dying, and right now, in order to do a turnaround, you have to have somebody who can get up close and personal, hands-on with the people. Well, and there's nobody out there right now but me who can do that. Now, making history. Let me give you this. One of my clients was mayor of Memphis, and my former law partner was a mayor of Memphis. So let's just say it's time to put things back in capable hands where leadership can be exerted. And as far as that crime problem goes, in a 10-year period when I was sitting on the criminal bench, the real deal, statewide recidivism rate was 80%. But in my courtroom, I dropped it down to just 18. So I want to put back in place what I was doing then that worked so well. about restoring order in this area, but on a larger basis.
Well, we have heard from Judge Joe Brown, who is running for mayor of Memphis, running to restore order. We'll continue to keep our eye on your campaign. Thank you for joining Fox Soul's Black Report. Come back again soon.
And I love the glasses, Judge.
Hey,
you gonna win with those glasses. I love them.
My excuse. Yeah,
you look great. Thanks for joining us.
Los Angeles, man. You know it.
That's right.
Take care,
Take
Judge.
care. Thanks, Judge.
All right.
All right, soulmates, hang tight. We will be right back. Thanks so much for watching Fox Soul's Black Report.
Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows come? Why does my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is he. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I am free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me.
Oh my goodness, Thornetta Davis, Detroit's queen of the blues. May I hug?
Yes.
Oh, you almost went in there. Almost went in there.
Thank you.
Listen, thank you so much for joining us today. Good Friday. Talk a little bit about that particular song. We talked about freedom in there. You a singer, you've been a singer. So a lot of folks don't understand that there are a couple of generations after Motown that keep that tradition going, and you are the queen of that, must I say.
Oh, thank you.
And in that song, it talks about freedom. We're entering into Resurrection Sunday. It's about, being alive, coming again, another opportunity, and being free to do so. Talk a little bit about that.
When you guys called me to perform, and I'm going through my own transition right now, my own resurrection.
Same here.
Health-wise, and it's one of those times where I'm getting ready to be 60 years old. So I'm praying and asking God to help me get through what I'm going through right now. And so I take this right now as a sign from God. When you asked me to do that particular song, it's one of my favorite songs to do. And the reason why I sing is because I feel free on stage. God gave me that gift to be able to share with people.
That's right.
And I sing, and it makes me free. And I feel like God is with me. Whatever I'm going through right now, He's with me right now. And that was His way of letting me know when you guys called and asked me to do this.
Yeah, so inspiring, so encouraging, and that song is so personal, and you took your time with it.
Yeah.
And I knew you were doing it for us, but it was for you.
Yes.
I could feel that. Talk a little bit about how you're continuing to salt really this planet, because you're somewhere everywhere with your gift, your projects, what you got coming up, where you're going. I know you keep that bag packed.
I got a lot of stuff going on this summer. I'll be traveling cross country. I'm doing some stuff in Utah and Telluride. I'm getting ready to go to Australia with with Taylor Mack, who's an artist out of New York. I'm going to Sweden. I'm traveling this summer.
Yes, you are.
And I know that God is in the plan with all of it. So yeah, that's what
That is wonderful. And it's so good seeing you. I was just telling you, we never got a chance to person, but we used to go to the same church. And you were always up there in the choir, standing next to Kim, and y'all was sang me into something on a Sunday morning. So it's nice to finally touch base heart to heart.
Courtney.
Thanks for blessing us today. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you
so
you
got to
much.
come back.
I will.
Thornetta Davis. Yeah, absolutely. The queen of Detroit blues. Social media, we can follow you real quick. I want to get that.
Sweet Mama TD on Instagram, Thornetta Davis Anderson on Facebook, and ThornettaDavis.com.
Okay.
My website.
Perfect. All right, soulmates, we want you to continue to tune in, and you can do that by way of FOXSOUL TV, FOXSOUL.tv. You can also download the FOXSOUL app for absolutely free. You can check that performance all over again and keep running it throughout this Resurrection weekend. Stay close. Thanks so much for watching FOXSOUL's Black Report. Thornetta Davis, Detroit Queen of the Blues. Thank you so much. Thank you.
God bless you, honey. Thank you so much for this.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. We will be right back. Thanks so much for watching FOXSOUL's Black Report. All right, soulmates, it is time to experience more of the incomparable voice of Whitney Houston like never before. Today we are joined by Pat and Gary Houston, who are here to talk about the upcoming release of He Can Use Me. It's the stunning new single from Whitney's long-awaited gospel album, I Go to the Rock, the gospel music of Whitney Houston. Now, this album features 6 never-before-released tracks and a documentary TV special that follows Whitney's gospel journey from her early performances to recording the best-selling gospel album of all time. Thank you both so much for taking some time out to join us, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Indeed, absolutely. So let's start by discussing the release and the purpose of I Go to the Rock, the gospel music of Whitney Houston. Why now? I'm assuming her lifelong fans have been wanting this for a while now.
Well, you know, it's a special time. This year, Whitney would be turning 60 years old in August, on August 9th. And Whitney loved birthday celebrations. She loved Easter. And I just felt this is a project that Whitney herself produced. That's what I always tell everyone. Everything is about timing, and she's always wanted to do a gospel project ever since she did a visitation in the Holy Land. She wanted to produce something called Gospel in the Holy Land, but of course that never happened, and that's why we're at this place right now.
Yeah, and to extend that thought, why do you think that gospel release never happened? Do you think it was a time when maybe the label people felt it wasn't appropriate, or there wasn't a market for it? Why do you think that gospel album never happened while she was here with us in the physical?
Well, she never stopped singing gospel music, you know, although nothing was ever released. Every tour that she's ever done, she's always performed a gospel song. One of those songs was always I Go to the Rock or I Love the Lord. So Whitney has never stopped. It was her beginning, and she never stopped. You know, I always tell folk that gospel was the center of her gravity, and she never let go. Even if no one else wanted her to do it, she always did.
Sure.
It's always gospel for her.
Sure. And speaking of the beginning, we remember Whitney being like 17 when she recorded He Can Use Me, which never, commercially was released. Talk about that time in her young life before her first professional recording with Arista Records, when she was recording some of her gospel favorites.
Well, I Go to the Rock is a great title for Whitney in terms of how it all started. Going back in time as a teenager, growing up in the Houston home, drinking singers. My mother was a very well-known gospel singer. She had brothers and sisters who played instruments, who sang, and they really sang from morning, noon, and night. And so we woke up to that. So I Go to the Rock is just going back to her source, going back to her origin, going back to her center. So, I mean, when you think about the industry, there's always it's a money-making business, and she sang secular music, but she always sang a gospel song in every one of her shows around the world. Ever since I've been singing with her for 30 years, and background doing duets in studio, and always inserted a gospel song that was very much prevalent, very, very meaningful to the show. So it's just a segue into just letting people know that this is what Whitney stood for. This is where she came from. This was her background, and so she got a lot of. She learned from the best.
Yeah, indeed. And Gary, we always see the videos of you and Whitney. She's performing. You're right there, got her back, as Big Bro, and musically speaking, as one of her background singers. What was like, growing up with Whitney and sharing those times with her, the young Whitney, and then as she became the Whitney that we know, talk a little bit about that life, if you will.
It was so much fun growing up with Whitney because, like I said, I learned from the best. My mother taught me a lot. I was playing ball a lot, but I was always around the music side of it when they rehearsed and mimicking my mother. I sang more of female artist songs than I did male artist songs. So, and Whitney would always, just always cling to me. I'm 6 years older than she is, and so there are things that I taught her. My mother taught me, and I taught Whitney. And then we taught one another. She learned faster because she spent more time singing in studios with my mother and in church and doing nightclubs and things like that. I started doing that when I finished basketball a lot more than I did at that time. But it was just so special being able to experience singing with my mother and singing with Whitney. Never knew Nippy was going to turn into a Whitney Houston. I knew that she had the potential, the ability, the gifts, but man, she just wanted to sing. Yeah. She never knew that. She never knew that was going to turn it. Wow, this is all happening to me. She just wanted to sing, and she got so much gratification and appreciation out of just singing from her heart and from her mind and from her soul, which my mother always told us that's what we should do. We don't have to compare ourselves with anybody or try to compete with anybody. Just sing from your heart.
Yeah, well, you kind of on the tall side, Mr. Gary, so we knew if you wasn't running up and down the court that you also had a voice to contribute to this musical family. So talk about that. When did, Whitney maybe decide that she wanted to go professional? We know we had the example of your mom and other family members like Miss Warwick. Talk about, that decision to go professional, and if there was a struggle with how that was going to affect her faith, maybe or maybe not.
But she had a lot to compare with. I mean, she had a lot to compete with when it comes to my mother and Dion and Aretha. It was always around Gladys and my mother. The artist that fell into her path growing up. And I was always a singer. Still playing ball, but I was always musically inclined. So we had a lot of fun growing up, singing outside in the backyard, in the car. I took her to school every day, and she always sang. I mean, just songs. We listened to all kinds of music, but most importantly, the gospel effect and the experience of growing up in the church and knowing how what God meant to my mother and her family and the relationships that it established when we established those relationships with other people. Whitney was a loner, and she always pretty much isolated, and she took time to really, work on her craft. My mother taught her very well, and she learned, very well and very quickly. And it was, you got the ins and outs and pros and cons of this business. Just either you really want to achieve something, or you. To believe that you can, you receive the things that come with the nature of this business. But my mother gave her so much knowledge and information on what to expect, and she, you have to experience it yourself to understand how important it is. You have to go through the bumps and bruises, and you have to really understand for yourself and learn from your experiences what it really entails and what it's going to take for you to maintain and sustain, this kind of the ability to want to be an artist and want to be as big as a star, and the voice that she had and the effect and the impact that she had on the world.
Sure. As you were talking, we were showing some home family videos of the rich, history and legacy of your family. Thanks so much for sharing those memories. Miss Pat, we got maybe about a minute or so left. Let's talk real quick about the project. The album features 14 songs, 6 songs that have never before been released. Talk about some of that unreleased music and what we can look forward to as far as putting our ears to it.
Well, something, she recorded, a couple of those songs when she was 17 years old. A lot of the fans, they always want music, new music, old music, it doesn't matter. But we knew that bringing this project to fruition, that we had to bring something special. And He Can Use Me is such a special, special song. I don't know if you've heard it or not, but it's such a testament to her life. And she allowed God to use her because she connected people from all over the world, different cultures. She could do that. You hear many stories about folk talking about what Whitney Houston's music did for their life, which is very, very special. So we wanted to bring something special from the heart. And Whitney, like I said, gospel was her refuge. And for a lot of us that grew up in the church, gospel was like the incubator for our life. And she just never let go. And we wanted to bring closure to fans, to just let them know she's good. She's at peace. And this is a project. And if you watch the documentary, she speaks a lot herself about what gospel music meant to her and what God meant to her. And we just wanted to bring that to the forefront for fans to see. Yeah, I also wanted to mention the documentary and the TV special, the other components with this release. What perspective is that from? I mean, since her physical passing, we've seen so many, documentaries, some movies. What's going to set these two projects aside from some of the other Whitney documentaries and movies that we've seen? Because this one is very, very special because this is something Whitney wanted to do, although she didn't want to do a documentary. But, with the name as big as Whitney Houston, everybody wants a slice and a piece of that. Sure. Everybody does not have a slice or piece of this. This is directly from the family, from the heart. So it's extremely authentic, and the purpose is what it is, to draw you closer. She's still connecting, and God is still using her, So, this is it. This is the project, where it all started, and the reasons why we fell in love with Whitney Houston is right here. Yeah, from a personal standpoint, what do you each of you miss the most about Whitney? And we're talking about Whitney, the sister-in-law, the family member. What do you miss most about Whitney? Oh my gosh, she was like, what, I kind of had to balance things, being manager and being her sister-in-law, but also being a confidant. I just had to balance it all. And I was just telling a friend the other day, I said, it's been 11 years and this is the very first time that I'm now beginning to really miss her because we're still in Georgia and she's the reason why we moved here in the first place. And, just missing the laughter. She was very, we worked on a lot of community projects together, that I put on pause, because of her passing. And sometimes it can be very hard, not having her around, because we were such confidants. And I just miss that laughter, and miss her motivating me and inspiring me, I miss that a lot.
And adding to that, I miss her. Like she said, the laughter. Whitney was so funny. Love that she exemplified, exuded, and just gave to me and my family. So she always, like I said, she kept us. She kept us, centered, always thinking straight about the right things and the family ties. And she just loved being over here. I told you, she's all over this house. She was here like it was her second. She wanted to move here and live in. I said, you got this big house over there, man. You want to stay over here. But no. It's not like being over here. And we had to decide whether I was going to let her stay. And I finally said, no, it's not going to work. Two families can't live in the same home. All right. So, but yet, now that she's gone, I wish I had made a little wiser decision, because her spirit is all around this home. It really is. And she shows up in the rain. She shows up with a little red bird, and she shows up in all kinds of ways. When the doorbell rings, it's been so long. It's been 11 years now. I still think it's her. At the front door. So she's always. Just in the spirit of things, and it may not be physically, but in the spirit. It's never going to fade away.
Absolutely. Amen to that. And let me tell you, the legacy is so rich and the mantle is heavy. And so we just appreciate you doing what you've been doing for the past 11 years to make sure that legacy is done properly and effectively and authentically. Pat and Gary Houston, thank you so much for your time today. Our love to the remainder of the family. And now you're officially soulmates. So anytime Whitney and you guys have something going on from that camp, please give us a call and we'll talk about it for sure. God bless and happy Easter. And thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much for watching Fox Soul's Black Report. We will be right back. And welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report. So we're going to talk about the highly anticipated TV series, Grown in Gospel, which follows a group of 6 childhood friends who were born into the gospel music scene right here at Fox Soul's headquarters in Detroit, with a focus on their struggles, insecurities, and past mistakes. Now, the show promises to be a roller coaster of emotions. Today, we have 2 special guests joining us, Breeann Hammond and Nikkia Cole-Beach. We're going to take a moment to dive into this brand new show that we are so excited about. Welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
So let me just establish this. I remember y'all when y'all were little girls. I am a Detroiter myself, so I know how this story kind of evolved and has come about. Breeann, your dad is Fred Hammond, duh. And Nikkia Cole-Beach, your mom, is of course the Rose, Dorinda Clark Cole from the infamous Clark sisters. And so let's just establish that. Breeann, let's start with you. Tell us about how your show came together.
So the show obviously has been in the works for many decades. We just didn't know about it. Desperate of doing that. Elijah was able to establish some amazing connections, of course, with his huge following. And so he started reaching out and got with Kingdom Reign Entertainment. And basically it was super easy to get to all of us because of course we know each other and we're friends. So when I got the call, it was a no-brainer and it was history after that.
Wow, that is amazing. Nikkia, bringing you into the conversation, how do you think being, as Breeann just mentioned, the daughter, of a gospel legend, how do you think that has influenced you and your castmates and the music and the approach to this show and the approach as being, in the gospel industry?
Well, I must say, I have to give much kudos to my grandmother, the late Dr. Mattie Moss Clark, who got them started into their singing career. So I have to give her credit as to how all this came about with my wonderful family. But I can't say that I don't sing, but I can sing. However, I into the direction of the music side of the, the business side of the music industry. So I can say that, that has been a much help with, having family that has come from that background in the music scene, but then also making sure that the bag is secured. It's always about the business.
That's right.
The talent.
That's right.
That plays a big part, along with, the Fred Hammonds and the Lisa Page Brooks and the Michael Brooks and Commission, all of that comes from the Detroit. We're known for it. So I just think it's so.
You just brought back so many memories. I'm on the younger end of that generation, but I just remember them crisscrossing Detroit and then this country as their careers began to grow and evolve. So it's just amazing to now be talking to the daughters and the sons, if you will. Breeann, how important is it for you guys to incorporate, some of the modern influences? I know you guys come from a different generation, but some of the modern influences, into, your music, into your style, and really into what's going to show up when we watch this new show on WeTV?
It's critical to keep the modern sound in music today, but at the same time recognizing our faith as the foundation of everything we do. So while we are going to be intentional with making sure that our lifestyle and everything that we represent is going to be a great embodiment of our God and our faith, but at the same time, I know growing up in church, I wanted to hear that modern sound, and because there weren't very many artists that were doing that, there was the traditional gospel sound, I would often get in trouble for listening to secular music. So it would be very critical in this day and age, especially to reach those that are outside of the four walls of the church, to have that modern sound so that they can get that flavor and that flair, but at the same time have a positive message. Okay.
Can you both share any, upcoming projects? We know the team. When can we, tap into the show? Everybody is excited about it. It's what folks have been talking about. So you've got the show, and then any projects or collaborations you want the soulmates to know about?
Of course. So,
I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. But me being the BTS queen, behind the scenes queen, I kind of introducing myself into the music side. So I was able to write my very first song. Oh, nice. Which is part of my Good Thing brand, which is my women's empowerment brand. So y'all going to see a side of that, of me, getting out on the musical side of it. So I'm excited about that. And then other little things that's going on, you'll see.
And you, Breeann?
Yes, I'll say you'll definitely see lots of music and hear lots of music on the show, visuals to go along with the music. And then coming from a musical family on both sides, both my mother and father's side, I have some collaborations coming up. I have an alter ego cousin. His name is Brian. And so we're on music, got some amazing things coming out. I have other cousins and uncles and so forth that many of you have not heard, but we are collaborating, and we've got a lot of music coming out in addition to what we're putting out through the show.
Well, the city of Detroit, again, as a native, we got your back. We're totally behind you. We can't wait to tune in and to support you in the projects, and I'm sure the rest of the gospel industry and really the world will look forward to it. Breeann, I remember seeing you as a little girl. We lived in the same neighborhood. You wouldn't remember that. And to you, Nikkia, your grandmother was one of my music teachers. So this was really special to talk to you ladies. Nothing but the best. Your official soulmate, so we got to have you back and talk more about the show. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, soulmates, hang tight. We will be right back. Thanks so much for watching Fox Soul's Black Report.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. I shall forever lift my eyes to Calvary to view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous His grace that caught my falling soul. But He looked beyond every one of my faults. Thank you, Jesus. He looked beyond every one of my faults. He looked beyond every one of my faults, and He saw my need.
Maurissa Rose, Maurissa Rose. I had to fold up under myself. Now you just to taking me in today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
that kind
me.
of it's so personal, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We were just, we're talking with Thornetta early. It's so personal, and I can tell as you massively, ministered that to us. We're in Good Friday, entering into Resurrection Weekend. Talk a little bit about what those selections mean to you when you talk about being born again. When you talk about
we don't
freedom.
have enough time.
When you talk about His grace and so on and so. I know, right?
His grace and His mercy.
Yeah.
I am a daughter of a Black Baptist pastor, a PK kid.
Okay.
So the faith and the gospel was always put in me. But there comes times in your life where your faith, your trust is tested. And it was really when I had my daughter, and she was born with sickle cell anemia and hypotonic cerebral palsy and all of these medical conditions. And I thought, God, will she even survive? And let me tell you about His grace. Let me tell you about God's mercy. Let me tell you that God can be with you and take you through things that you never thought that you could go through. And so I am just, it's more than just stories that I heard now. Now it's a personal testimony that I know God is real. I know that His grace is real and His mercy is real. And on this Good Friday, as we go into the resurrection, I just, every day I'm renewed just knowing that He would never leave us or forsake us, that He's always with us. And so, that's the message. If you're feeling low, I don't care what you're going through, because I've been through some of it all. The ups and downs of this business.
That's right.
Losing a child when he was just 4 months old, and then having this child come into this world so sick. But God, He can give you peace in the midst of the storm.
Yeah. Maurissa, you bless us all over the place, and I'm just talking about beyond the church walls. Talk a little bit about your work. I remember you being on the credits of the Diary of a Mad Black Woman soundtrack. Talk a little bit about that experience. One of them good old Tyler Perry flicks,
one of those Tyler Perry films. It was incredible to sit in the movie theater and that scene with Boris Kodjoe and hear my voice on the screen.
I know that had to be exciting.
Yeah, it was, and that was one of the first duets that I did with Homeboy Kim. and then had an opportunity to do another duet with him, If It's Love, as well. And then so much that I'm doing overseas now with the music. I just finished a project with Dave Lee, AKA Jody Nigra, out of London. And so that music is coming, and some stuff coming out of Scandinavia. So God is just good.
Yeah,
you know,
good.
My roots are in the church,
right?
But I believe the church is everywhere you go,
right?
That we ministry everywhere we go.
And let me clear this up. And there's no, you know, listen, I've been in this industry for a very long time, and sometimes record labels do what they do. But you're gonna hear two versions of Kim's If It's Love, and the original is this woman right here. Just let me
I'm
put
on
that.
The original.
Let
I'm on
me
the CD.
put that down
I'm
for
on
you.
the CD.
And we love our sister.
And we love Chrisette Michelle.
Yes, we do.
But there's Maurissa Rose, homegirl. Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah. Thank you.
Check that out.
Thank you.
It will resurrect you as well in a different kind of way. So maybe wait till after the weekend.
I know that's right.
Future projects.
So please visit me at MarissaRoseMusic.com. Please follow me on Instagram, Maurissa Music, Facebook, Maurissa Rose, and you know, really support, follow. You know, I'm not out here doing the shenanigan things. You know. And I'm not, no shade on no one. You know, your creativity is your creativity. But for folks like myself and Thornetta who are really writing songs, doing real music.
Come on, Thornetta,
really writing music, doing real music. Support. We need your support. We need your follows, your likes, your shares. We need you to come to the show. We need you to comment, all of those things. So if I can just champion whoever's watching today, if you just take some time out of your busy schedule to go to Maurissa Rose, Google me, you know, go to YouTube, look at some of my stuff, give me some views, go to Thornetta Davis and look at some of her stuff, give her some views, because it takes that now. You know, people won't book us if we don't have anybody who likes us.
That's right.
Isn't that incredible? So like us.
That's what FOXSOUL is here for, baby. FOXSOUL's Black Report this Good Friday. No, thank you for taking time out of your schedule for giving it to us today. I love this. Thornetta is wearing.
This is Easter.
Maurissa is wearing.
This is Easter.
You're giving it to us.
This is Easter. this is how the ladies do it in the D.
All of this magic.
This is how we do it in the D.
I love it.
This is how we do it in the D.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful Resurrection weekend, and thank you again.
Happy Easter, everybody. Happy Resurrection Sunday.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful, safe Resurrection weekend, and thank you so much for watching FOXSOUL's Black Report. We appreciate you. Stay safe.